I just felt like I was dying from the inside out. And I'm like, this cannot be the rest of my life. I'm only turning 55. And I was like, gosh, this is awful.
Hello, everyone. You're listening to the Menopause Moxie podcast, where we strategically challenge the status quo on perimenopause, menopause, and female hormone balancing. I'm Marie Hoig, and Maggie Kuhn, my producer and co-host, is off today. Welcome to the show. Today, I'm joined by someone whose transformation will absolutely inspire you. Angela is a patient in our clinic who decided she was done living life in survival mode. Like so many women, she struggled with weight gain, depression, exhaustion, and feeling disconnected from herself, even though she was doing everything right. After starting the Panacea hormone diet and reaching her hormone sweet spot, Angela has lost over 40 pounds. But what's even more remarkable is she's gained her life back. Her energy, confidence, and joy have returned, and she says she feels alive and happy for the first time in years. In this episode, Angela opens up about her journey to the hormone sweet spot and what she learned about her brain and body along the way, and how fully restoring her empty hormone tank made weight loss finally possible. This is more than a story about dropping pounds and reversing menopause. It's about reclaiming her mind, vitality, identity, and womanhood. Let's dive into Angela's incredible story of transformation to the hormone sweet spot with the Panacea hormone diet. Hello, Angela, and thanks for joining me and sharing your menopause reversal and weight loss journey today with us.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me.
Well, let's start at the beginning. When did you realize something was off?
During my 50th year, which was in 2020, at the end of that year into 21, I started having period changes, tremendous lower back pain, joint pain. I was bent over. I couldn't stand up fully. Just not feeling well at all. Hot flashes, not sleeping well at night.
Well, what
I
did you think that
noticed.
was? Did you feel like that was you were getting sick, or, what,
No, I
all these things?
knew with the period changes that obviously I was in perimenopause and heading into menopause. That is about what I knew. I did not realize my lower back pain could be a symptom of no estrogen left. I had no idea. So I spent thousands of dollars on a chiropractor. Um, but I knew the hot flashes were related to hormonal changes. And I knew my periods changing where I would go months without one, then maybe 1 month I'd have one, and they were miserable always, of course. Uh, and all those kind of fluctuations were related to perimenopause and menopause.
So were
Yeah.
you gaining weight along this time, or was this
Yes,
weight?
I had, and I previously hadn't been. I was in pretty good shape the summer of 2020. And in my 40s, I was always in really good shape. But yes, I started to swell up. I started to get weight gain. And I just could not lose anything, and I didn't have any energy, brain fogs. I noticed things at work changing for me, not in a good way. Everything was just, I had all these symptoms over the last like 2, 3 years from that time point. From, just my breasts deflating like balloons. Felt like they were gonna hit the floor. That was depressing. The lack of sleep. Um, my hair, my nails, my skin, the thinning of my skin. I just did not look healthy. I didn't feel healthy. Depression, all that. I had so many things that
Well,
were going
you
on.
clearly went to doctors. You saw a chiropractor. What were doctors telling you?
Well, I saw a chiropractor for the back, my lower back pain issue, and went through their program. and I spent about 6 grand in total, but I came out of it and I wasn't really feeling any better. It was just kind of a temporary thing. And then I did have a primary care physician. I never really liked her in particular, so I pretty much stayed away. I maybe would only see her once a year. And she was never anyone that had any knowledge with my hormones or even went to say, hey, let's test your hormones. She would just tell me, oh, hey, you've gained more weight. Thank you very much. I didn't know that. Um, my clothes don't fit and I'm getting bigger in size. Yeah, okay. But just to lose it, I need to lose weight. And, sure, okay, I can hardly get out of bed on the weekend. I'm so tired when I come home from work. I can do nothing but hardly just crash into bed. Um, so that's about all I got from them. I didn't
Well,
really
what made you finally go down a different path? I mean, you know that doctors weren't really helping you. I mean, what really made you decide to look around?
well, about 2 more years had passed between 23 to 24. I was at my niece's wedding in August of 23, and I was the most swollen and heaviest I've ever been. And I just was so down in the dumps about it, and just um realizing I'm getting worse. Like through 23 to through 24, um brain fog, emotional stability, depression, anxiety, irritability with my sons. I'm a single mom of two sons. I've raised them pretty much on my own. And I've always had a tremendous amount of pressure on me and stress, to provide and everything. But I wasn't handling it well. And I felt like my career was dying. I'm dying. And so I started to search online and through YouTube and watching different videos and podcasts in 24 to kind of just see what is out there, what information is out there. Because in the back of my mind, I was thinking, okay, yay, no periods. I'm in menopause now. I hadn't had a period in just about a year. Um, and I was happy about that. But then all the other symptoms that came with that were literally driving me mad. I just felt like I was dying from the inside out. And I'm like, this cannot be the rest of my life. I'm only at this point almost turning 55. And I was like, gosh, this is awful. I don't know which is worse. And so I continue to
A lot of
research and yeah.
Well, I was going to say a lot of women feel that, that falling apart and not knowing what to do about it. And they do go to their doctors and they don't really get answers. And how did this must have really impacted your job, I would imagine.
Yes, I actually my work just looked at me as someone that came and did the job. They didn't look at me like as anyone with potential to for advancement, for more money, a different, higher end career within my job. And then also that I looked dumpy, frowdy. I let my hair grow long and back to its natural silver gray. And so I just looked 20 years older than I actually was. And so in the workplace, that's not inspiring
No.
for anyone in management to say, oh, she's got potential. Let's look to her for career advancements and things like that. I just was like a little old mouse, stayed in my little hole, did my job and left. So that impacted my career.
Well,
Um,
how was your brain function? I remember you saying things like, "Oh my gosh, my brain isn't working. I'm worried about not being able to actually do my job."
Yeah, brain fog was a big thing because I'm an accountant. I deal with a lot of numbers and spreadsheets and super fun things like that. And I'm scrubbing a lot of data. And it was just things where, and my brain, I normally work very quickly. My brain usually fires very quickly. I was having a loss of that. And struggling to remember, my clothes checklist and things like that. So it was affecting that part. And then at home, just walk into a room and I forget why I went into that room to begin with. Like, why am I here? What did I needed to get something. I don't remember, and going back upstairs. Oh yeah. I mean, it was just a nightmare. I couldn't remember things. And then my boys would be like, Mom, you already asked us that question. It's like, I'm like, oh my God, please tell me I don't have dementia. Like my mom is going through dementia, Alzheimer's and all that. And I do not want any of that. So yeah, I had those feelings of just I'm not functioning, and then emotionally crying. As I was getting worse, I just daily cry. I mean, just it was hard for me not to just cry. Like I didn't understand what is truly happening to me. And so that's why I went online and YouTube and tried to find out what is going on with me. And then in 24, I came across a podcast that you had done, but the podcast was over a year old. So you had done it in 23, and you were saying things that I had never heard before. And you were talking about full restoration, and that menopause, perimenopause isn't something that we women have to go through. And I was like, what?
No.
I had a mind blow
Yeah.
that I could have a period that was asymptomatic. And I was like, who wants a period? Well, guess what, ladies? I have a period and I don't mind it.
Yeah, I'd rather have a healthy incident-free period for the rest of my life than what I feel like when I don't have a period, all the mental and physical decline and malfunction. And yeah, yeah, because as you know, a lot of women don't have good periods
No. I
and
have
they don't.
coworkers that are younger than me in their 30s and 40s, and they struggle. They hate their period. It's the bloating,
Yeah.
the swelling of the abdomen, which is what I had, the cramping, the headaches. I had terrible, terrible headaches. And I did not
Yeah.
know that was related to estrogen.
Oh yeah, most people don't. I think what people realize, like you, when you get on the hormones and you realize the impact that estrogen has on your entire body, head to toe, your mental health, how you function, how your body actually operates and functions, and you realize it's like one hormone, two hormones, three, one to three hormones completely changes all of this if they're fully restored, not just
Yes.
given minuscule dosages. And you realize, oh my gosh, I had no idea that all these thousands of things that are
Yes.
influenced by this. So you were looking for somebody. What were you looking for to help you with this?
At that point, I really didn't know. I was just trying to figure out and see what other information was out there and who was talking about this. And were other women experiencing what I was going through, and what are my choices? Do I just decide at, 52 and 53 and 54 that I'm just dead and dying and that's it? My life's over.
Hmm.
I spent 20 years raising my sons on my own and that's it. I don't get to have a life anymore, that I'm dead and gone. Or is there hope? Is there something beyond um that is available to me to put myself back together again? Because I felt I was too young to be in death,
Be
thinking in
old.
death mode.
I was too young to be old.
Yes, yes. I felt like, God, this is what I think 70 or 80, 90-year-olds should
Yeah.
feel like in their bodies, not someone that's in their 50s,
Yeah,
you know?
it's such a horrible, horrible way to feel. I mean, what were your first impressions of the Panacea hormone diet?
Well, first of all, when I had heard your podcast, like I said, that was over a year old, and I went to the website and was really doing a deep dive on the Panacea Sciences website, the HRT program, reading your information, and then the list of symptoms that
Mhm.
were on there that were due to a lack of estrogen. I mean, like blew my mind because I had most all of them, from constipation, not good bowel movements, from, hair, nails, droopy, saggy breasts, my vaginal area feeling like it's a cracker, a dried up Melba cracker, no sex drive. brain fog, just all the things, the weight gain, just everything that I had gone through. And then I saw your button and see if your hormones are balanced and click here for a free consultation. And I just thought for the first time there might be hope that I could restore and come back from how I'm feeling. And I didn't know how and what that entailed, but I knew I needed to try. The information that I was reading was totally different than what I'd even heard about. And there wasn't like, because in the back of the mind, I don't know where women are getting this, but we all have this scary thing that, ooh, estrogen's bad. Ooh, it causes cancer and all these things. No, lack of estrogen is why women are having these, I think, in my opinion, uterine cancers and the lack of the shedding that's building up, because just because you're not menstruating doesn't mean that lining isn't building up. And all those dead, icky blood cells are still sitting in there all for years and years.
And that's a breeding, that's very pathogenic.
Yes.
And it is a breeding ground for cancer. And it is
Yes.
probably one of the number one reasons for uterine cancer is this buildup, the lining
Yep.
of the
And
uterus.
then also learning too that like a lack of estrogen causing Parkinson's, dementia and Alzheimer's, which I've watched my mom go through for, 10, 15 years of her life, wasted away with that. And I was like, that's not what I want. I don't want to end up old and, wrinkly and walking like hunchback,
Mhm.
because in getting that what they call dowager's hump, which is very common in women who sit at a
Oh my
desk
gosh. That
who get that.
estrogen deficient women have that. Women with
Yeah,
estrogen don't have that. It's
yeah,
one of the things that happens to a woman's posture through perimenopause is the when the muscles atrophy, the body starts to pull forward, the arms start to move forward so that the swing of the
yes.
arms is different. It's not until the estrogen's restored that the muscle tone comes back and fully erects the physical body. And so women carry themselves differently and their arms swing differently and they walk differently.
They
What
walk
was
different with
Yeah.
estrogen. They walk with confidence
Yeah, so you've
and
seen it yourself.
sexiness.
Yeah. So what was your first impression in our consultation, would you say?
Well, first of all, just super excited that you were still doing this, because again, after a year, I didn't know if you were still around or still in the hormone restoration business. Um, but uh, I was very impressed by you. I thought you were so pretty. I'm like, ooh, look at her hair and skin. It looks so nice. And oh my gosh, I couldn't even get through our first meeting without crying. I know I was
Yeah.
emotional, and but I felt that you listened to the things that I was going through. You understood, and that you did express the challenges that I would have, because I was 40 pounds. I mean, I was over 30 pounds overweight for sure. And that, I was already in menopause. I'd already been a year without a period, and that there were going to be some challenges. But I think you saw the desperation in my voice and the
Mm.
pleading in my eyes that, like, don't turn me away, because I am willing to do whatever it takes to make this program of yours work for me. And so that I can come back to life, because it's either this or I just curl up on my bed and die for the next 20 years. Those were really, I felt, my options at that
Yeah,
point.
and I tell you, women in you're what we call the category 4 patient, which means that you have somewhere between 20 to 50 pounds to lose. So which is why we recommended the Panacea hormone diet. And yeah, I'm very careful when I take on a category 4 patient because I understand how much work is involved with it. And not every woman is in a place in their life where they can take on this transformational journey. And so I assess this consultation is for us both to determine, if this is going to be a good fit. This isn't just a sales pitch. And
Right.
it's not a sales pitch. It's would this person be a good fit? How
Mhm.
heavy are they? What's their demeanor? Do they have an internal locus of control or an external locus of control? Do they still blame other people for all their problems? Or are they ready to say, you know what, I've had enough. I'm tired of jumping from one hormone doctor to the next. I've got to lose this weight. I've got to get my brain back so I can at least function and work and live and
Yes.
connect.
Exactly. And I felt too that just looking at the program you had and that there was homework for me. There were lessons I needed to read and re-educate myself. That is what I think is so important. Most women just going to their regular primary care physician, they're not getting that. They're just getting someone who really doesn't even understand how the progesterone and the estrogen flow in a woman's cycle each month. And they're just slapping them with patches or creams and then take this all month long so you won't have a period there. Actually, I've heard from other people that I've worked with, oh, their doctor just told them, don't worry about having a period each month. Just take progesterone all month long. I'm like, wow, that is so counterproductive and counter to what I've learned through Panacea Sciences in this program, learning the real true science behind uh, hormone therapy and full restoration and doing it properly, correctly, according to my body and what works for me. And being having that monitored every 3 to 4 months is huge, really
Yeah,
huge.
I tell you, I've been in this business for a little over 20 years now, and it has been quite an evolution in female hormone medicine. It's a different approach. And so, what did you think when I told you you were going to have a healthy menstrual cycle?
I think I looked at you and said, I'm wet. Like, I don't want that. I was like, ew, do I have to have a period? Like, I have to buy tampons and this and pads again. Boo. But what encouraged me was the fact that you said symptom free. And I'm like, what is that? What do you mean by
It's an
that?
incident-free menstrual
Incident free. Yeah.
cycle.
What
It's
is
like, what
that?
is that? And why do I want that? And that's always seems to be the question. And you've come to learn. And what I told you, really, this is the side effect. The side effect of this program is you will restore an
Yeah.
incident-free menstrual cycle.
Yeah.
And as long as you have hormones at these levels that actually regulate a menstrual cycle, you will reap the benefits from head to toe, all the other benefits of it. And that
Yes.
menstrual cycle really is our vital sign of what's going on in your body and the
Yes.
processes in your body. So yeah, so when you
And
say there
I,
were lessons, it's so important for the woman, the patient, to understand, what are we doing
yeah.
here? This isn't, like you said,
Yeah.
this isn't just slap a patch on and send you out the door.
Yeah.
We're
And
talking about a full life transformation by
yeah.
restoring these hormones that actually restores a woman's brain, a body, and herself.
Right.
And
All
then
the
the
things that come along with that. And, I remember you always told me like the period is a barometer, one of the major barometers of a woman's health. And I never looked at it that way. And I think most women do not because we're so wrapped up in dealing with the 5 days or 7 days of heck that we're going through with the cramping and the bloating and the irritation, the irritability that we're not looking at it like, why am I having that? Well, it's because we don't have enough estrogen on board. That
Mhm.
is why your periods are miserable. And I was like, gosh. And then who wants, and most of us women are out there working in the office and you feel like you're bleeding so bad, your uterus is going to fall out at your desk. That is not a great feeling. And trust me, I have to walk a little bit down the hall to get to the restroom at work. And so it's just a pain in the butt when you're a working mom or woman or wife or, single mom like me and having to deal with that. And then too, but now that I've been, and I got on HRT and starting that period, I'm actually in control of when that period's happening because it's based on when I start the HRT, my estrogen, and when I start my progesterone day 14 through 28, then as soon as I go off that, boom, I know my period's coming. Boom, right there. It starts.
and you don't
And
have all this lead up to the
yes,
headaches, the pelvic
uh-uh.
inflammation, the constipation, the diarrhea, the
Yeah,
mood swings, the
I
irrational
had all
behavior,
that.
anger
Yeah,
outbursts. Yeah, these are all symptoms. Well, women have been taught to normalize PMS.
yeah,
So we've
yeah.
come to expect that. And as you don't have that leading up to your period
Mm-mm.
and or a minimal amount. So women will either completely eliminate their PMS or it's significantly reduced. And so
Yes.
for you, what changed first? Like when you started on the hormones, I mean, because when I tell women when they start on hormones, you'll feel this probably within about an hour. And then you'll wonder if this is the hormones that are making you feel this way. What was it that you felt first, and when was that?
I noticed, okay, so, well, I met with you, I think it was like the end of August of 24. And of course, the 2 months leading up to before I started my HRT dose, which was in October of 24, I had to get my gut microbiome fixed because I had gut dysbiosis, like probably a lot of women didn't realize it, which is also contributing to a lot of the constipation factors and not having, bowel movements regularly and things like that. So I worked on my nutrient dense diet first before I started HRT because that was one of the things I learned in your program. You need to get your nutrition dialed in first in order for your HRT to work properly. So that was kind of like my first foundation of getting that set and prepared my body to accept the HRT that I was getting ready to start in October, which I did. So once I got and started the HRT, and that was through the estradiol or estrogen injection, that's what I chose to do. It worked for me. I'll tell you what, the hot flashes went away. Like me being able to sleep for the first time, mostly not all the way through, but mostly through the night was a huge improvement, very noticeable right out of the gate. I'd also say my headaches went away. I wasn't waking up with terrible, almost to the point migraine headaches anymore. So,
How,
and just the fact that I didn't have hot flashes, I didn't have to have a fan. I mean, at work, everyone knew. Like every 5 or 10 minutes, I'd be like, someone turn the AC on. I need the AC. And then I would be freezing to death. So, okay, I need a heater. I mean, it was awful.
can you imagine how that tough that is, even for employers? It's like you have a menopausal woman who's complaining about the temperature. Everybody else has to deal with it. It's almost like
Yeah.
everybody in a woman's life has to deal with
Yeah.
her menopause, whether it's the coworkers, the employer that has
Yes.
to make accommodations, the children that has like, who is this woman who calls herself my mother? I
Yeah.
mean, it's just, so how much
Yeah.
weight have you lost, would you say?
Well, I've lost over 40 pounds in a year.
How do the hormones help you lose weight?
Well, getting on estrogen, I would say in months the 4, 5, and 6, I really started to notice that I had drive again and energy again. And so I slowly started incorporating coming home from work. Normally I'd be too tired to do anything and I just lay down in bed, to now being able to get out and go walk around my neighborhood, up and down hills, at a relatively quick pace, to try to get out and start moving. Because through the program, I learned how important exercise is to hormone management because we need to get those hormones and the estrogen moving throughout the body so that the body is absorbing and moving those hormones into all the right cells and places it needs to be, and then preparing the whatever's left to be eliminated, which is very important. Most women don't realize, they don't understand, they're not being told how important to get moving if you're going to be on HRT. You cannot sit in a sedentary lifestyle and slap a patch or whatever cream you're doing and expect the hormones to do this, go from 190 to 150. It's with, and being able to weight train and sculpt your body. That's not going to happen by itself. You have to incorporate the exercise and moving. And so it was just a transformation. Little by little, I started feeling more energy, more able to get out there. And then I started adding an 8-pound weighted vest on my body and doing 3.5 miles up and down hills and really sweating and feeling good. Like, and I started dropping the weight because I was already changing my nutrients and my food and what I was, intake, my calorie intake. So I couldn't have done it without estrogen on board. There's no way. There's
Well,
absolutely no way.
speak to how estrogen impacted your cravings.
Before I'd always had a craving, or it's hard for me to say no to a piece of chocolate. If you work in an office, there's always candy
The
bowls
same way.
everywhere. Oh my gosh. And especially like at Halloween time now, there's candy bowls everywhere. Someone's bringing in, pastries or donuts or this or that or candy or cookies. And it was hard to say no to stuff like that. Or French fries, or bread. And I'm telling you, I literally can look at it and pass and have no problem. I do not have those kind of cravings. And I can be very selective if I want. I choose more high-end treat if I'm gonna have something. It's gonna be like the best dark chocolate. Sometimes I don't even want that. I mean, I can literally walk by it and not feel anything.
So as you were going through this journey, what I'm taking from you is, and I know what you were experiencing is just with the cravings that are stopping, you're changing your diet, you're increasing your exercise so that you can circulate your estrogen. I mean, would you say that how long did it take you to feel good again?
Well, the first month I already felt like the first month on my estrogen, I already felt different. I started feeling different like within the first month, for sure. First 2 months I was like, "Wow, I feel great." Like,
I
what's
know
happening here?
it's crazy to feel good for just no real good reason. I mean, it's just, especially when you've spent your life not feeling that way. And
Yes. In the
yeah,
previous 3 years in pain, my back pain went away. I was like, "Oh my gosh, I cannot believe this. My
isn't
lower
that
back pain
crazy?
went away. Gone. My
Yeah,
joint pain,
people
all of
don't
it."
yeah, people don't realize just the powerful anti-inflammatory agent estrogen is. It
Mm,
really is the number one pain reducer a woman has, and why we're not
yep.
just giving it to every woman in pain is beyond me.
I don't know. Or women that suffer with headaches, migraines, they need to have their estrogen level checked because mine went away.
Yeah, mine too,
I
completely away. I don't have migraines, I don't have headaches, I
Yeah.
have none,
It's
none.
rare for me to wake up with a headache now at all.
Yeah.
And then typically it goes away, even if I do have one once in a while. But yeah,
And
not like
usually,
before.
yeah, usually you can say, okay, well, you know that it's not hormonally related. You can get headaches from other things, but
Yeah.
you know it's not a deficiency issue. So were there specific moments throughout your hormone balancing journey that stood out? Like any milestones for you?
It just seems like and what was so great about this program was that, I was always in contact with you. Like each month we'd have our 1 or 2 meetings, and you were really helping me through each of those, 4 months before I had my next appointment with the doctor, to go over my labs. And we would just talk about like how I was feeling, and is this normal, and I'm going through this, is this normal, and what changes are happening. And that was so helpful and reassuring because it gave me the courage that I'm still doing good. I'm on the right track. I'm from where I started. It was just little moments of progress every month, every 3 months, every 4 months, something new was improving
Yeah.
from where I'd come from. And then, that just translated into my external presence, how I was at work. People started looking at me differently. They noticed a lot of changes. They noticed the weight. Now people look at me at work and they're like, "You don't even look like the same woman from a year ago.
You
Like, we
really
don't even
don't.
recognize you."
Yeah,
Like,
you have a great before and after here. And so we'll put that up so people can see your before and after, because it really is mind blowing the transformation that you've made through this. And it's very common. It's not like you're like one of a million. It's like, well, for women who's a category 4 patient, and I highly recommend listeners to learn about the 5 clinical categories of hormone balancing. But you really had a very typical journey and experience through this. And I'm sure, like, and it's a 3-phase journey, as you know. And
Yeah.
so the first phase here, did you have any obstacles during this time? Because I know women have a rough time during phase one as their body is their body is
Yeah.
adapting to the hormones.
Yep.
Women can have both positive clinical indicators and negative ones at the same
Yeah.
time. So
No, I had enough. I think if you remember, I had some definite still negative clinical indicators. And I think my body struggled a little bit more with the progesterone the first 3 months, even to the fourth and fifth month. But now I'm kind of got that regulated and I'm not bothered by that so much. But and just starting my period again in those first 3 months was a little bit of a challenge. And again, because of the fact that I had already not had a period. I had a lot of built up lining. And so, but even though I was having a period and they were better than they were before when I was not on HRT, I still had little struggle. Like maybe there'd be 1 day of cramping, not the entire time, or the first 3, 4 days. And the bloating seemed to go down. I wasn't having as much feeling like I'm swollen and my clothes weren't fitting because I'm on my period. But now in a point where it's pretty much asymptomatic, it's like clockwork. It's not really a big deal. Yeah, is it, it's not always fun. No woman's gonna say, "Oh, I love having a period," the tampons and pads and all that. But I mean, overall, because it is such an important indicator of a woman's health, I don't mind it at all. And I plan on having it as long as I can. If it helps me in my continued glow up, what I call my glow up season, and I'm
yeah.
still on this journey and I want to keep improving and looking better, feeling better, more exercise, more strength training. And I wouldn't have any of this drive if I didn't get that estrogen on board. I've already gotten 2 little mini kind of job promotions. They're looking at me totally different for higher increases and higher responsibility. And I'm telling you, before I did not have any of those opportunities presented to me at my career. So I feel like I'm now 56 and my career is blooming, you know, and now I want to help women and encourage women who are feeling like how I'm feeling, maybe at my age, maybe they're younger, excuse me, younger, and that they can change. You can change, but you got to get tested. And if you're lacking in your 3 major hormones, your main hormones, you got to get that on board and get that fixed. And the fact that there are a lot of other doctors, maybe like I said, functional doctors, but they don't know what they're talking and doing. They can't help women. And there are maybe some other programs, but none like this program. This program here at Panacea has handheld me. We're doing labs every 3, 4 months, and I'm getting cared for emotionally, mentally, physically, making sure that I'm on track and what's working for my body, you know what I mean, and incorporating things that I can incorporate to get to my goals. You're here to help get me to where I want to be now that I have drive and function again. My brain works, my
So,
body's working.
and that I know that's what happens when you restore a healthy menstrual cycle, because the brain and body want to function as healthily as it possibly can for the purposes of reproduction, even though you won't reproduce. So,
Yeah, and
so
that's a great thing. I don't want kids at 56, right? And I'm
no,
not
I
going to
know.
have kids at
No, but
56.
it's maintaining that cycle. Once
Yes.
you're out of eggs, you're out of eggs. But when your
Yeah.
hormone levels are at the place where you can maintain a healthy menstrual cycle, then that is really rejuvenates the body. It restores function, it restores tissues and organs and the
Yes.
processes in the body. So how does it feel to have reversed your menopause?
I am literally on cloud 9 and I'm going to go higher. I never really thought that this could ever happen or that I could completely reverse how bad I felt for 3 years prior. And that is why I was so desperate when I heard your message and reached out to you and was like, please, take me on because I will do whatever it takes to make this happen. And that's the thing. I changed my whole mindset on how I looked at myself and how I viewed myself. And I'm like, I'm worth it. I am worthy to stay alive and be in the best shape, mental, physical, beauty that I can be, not only for my sons, but for everyone who I touch or that's in my world, and those who aren't in my world that I could touch and inspire. That you have to decide you're worth the investment and you're worth the change, no matter how much it costs. It doesn't matter, because I will never go back to how I felt 3 years ago, 2 years ago, a year ago. I
So
won't ever.
this is really impact your family, your job, your life, I
Every
would
area.
imagine. So how, yeah,
I
so how,
mean, I'm still single. I've been single for a long time, but guess what? Now there's the hope that I can attract and want to be with the type of man that I want for the next phase of my life. Because
and a
now
decent
I'm
sex drive, not to
Well,
mention this.
yeah, I had nothing. Everything was dead from the boobs down. Like there was no feeling, nothing happening or going on. And that to me, even though I wasn't I haven't been in a relationship with him, but still it didn't make me feel like a woman. I felt like castrated is the one of the best words I can use. I've literally felt castrated.
Yeah, women really feel like they're vaginally dead when they lose their estrogen, and there is just an incredible resurrection of the vagina
In your
and
breasts. I'm telling you, I
yeah.
had a resurrection of my breasts. They went from deflated balloons hanging around
Mhm.
to like coming to life again. And just that too, I felt like a woman. I was
Well, yeah,
like,
because the estrogen's responsible for a female secondary sex characteristics. And the type of HRT that you're taking is therapeutic dose, designed to send messages to the brain that you're really in your reproductive prime. So your body naturally wants to mimic a woman in her reproductive prime, which, as you know, makes it easier when you work out to have better sculpting of your body. You've been
yes.
monitoring your body composition with this. You've seen the composition yourself, and
Yeah.
then with the libido and the pheromonal exchange
Yeah.
and the energy, and it's just, yeah, this is just it's hard. Like I said, it's hard not to sound like a used car salesman from time to time, because it's such an exciting thing, especially when women were in a place of their life like you, where you feel like you just want to die. It's like,
Yep.
yes, this is the end. I'm just going to lay in bed as long as I
Yep.
can, let my hair go gray,
I did. I let my
just
hair
accept.
grow gray, long. I didn't do makeup. I didn't do jewelry. I wore frumpy clothes. And I have dropped 3 to 4 clothes sizes. I had to get all new wardrobe. I've incorporated beautiful jewelry, makeup. I colored my hair. And now I feel sexy, sassy, and ready to take on the world and the rest of my life. And I'm like, there's no way I could have done that without this program and without you and the doctor helping me through each phase, right? And that just keeping me motivated that yes, this is normal. What you're going through, this is normal. Where you go through, this is normal. And now how everything feels better. And as I felt better, I started incorporating all these better things, making me feel good. And listening to motivations at night and reprogramming how I talk to myself and how I feel about myself and giving myself self care and love. I spent 20 plus years raising my sons on my own, pouring everything into them. And I'm like, it's my time, baby. Those were my choices. I either die or I find something to fix all this.
But as you
And
know, it's like a needle in a haystack to find somebody who knows what they're doing when it comes to hormones. And there's
yes,
so much noise out there, and so many people claim to be able to, oh, I'll balance your hormones, I'll
yeah,
optimize your hormones, and I'm a menopause expert. And but
yeah,
yet, as you know, that's one thing women need to understand. If you're going to a menopause expert, they will keep you in menopause, and they will manage your menopause with drugs and symptoms or supplements and low dose protocols. And your
right.
experience with this is we've have a full restoration going on. You're on an advanced HRT protocol designed to fully restore a woman's brain and body and restore that healthy menstrual cycle, and which regulates all the processes in the female body. Tissues rejuvenate,
Yes,
muscles restore.
yeah,
Estrogen's responsible for body fluid balance in women. So as you know, everything, and you can attest to this, everything lubes up in the female body now.
yeah. I
Skin,
feel like
hair,
my
nail.
face, yeah, just everything has got a freshness to it. And then too, like I don't swell, like I used to, and I don't retain water like I used to. Like everything's working. And part of that is because I incorporated not only the walking and the exercise, but now I've incorporated strength training. So I'm at the gym 4 days a week. I literally have integrated it into my daily life. I go to work and then I hit the gym Monday through Thursday, and then I do a 5K or a 3.5 mile hike on the weekend. So that is literally my life, and I'm doing a whole skincare. I have a nighttime skincare routine, daytime makeup. I make sure I always take my makeup off. I've eliminated alcohol because alcohol is a poison and it just can destroy your hormones. So I've made all these choices as I've gone through the program that I wasn't able to do last October. There's no way I thought, even in January 24, that I could get off the couch and belong to a gym and then go exercise on my own, and do 3.5 mile hikes with a 10-pound weighted vest on me. No way could I have envisioned that I'm doing that now at 56 years old. And I'm only getting better and stronger. And I'm influencing some people at work now. They've joined the gym and they just cannot believe my transformation. And I almost sometimes can't believe it because
I know.
I'm like,
I
you
feel like that
forget.
too. See how excited you get when you talk about it, because it's so life changing. It's hard not to just sound like, oh my gosh. And when you realize how things were before and then how things are now, and you mentioned
Yes.
something about alcohol. I mean,
Yeah. I
estrogen
mean,
is just such um, a craving, um, an anti-craving hormone, and women will tend to crave alcohol and
yeah.
drugs and sugar and highly processed food and sex and gambling and
Yeah.
gaming and all
To
those things
cope.
just to cope.
Yeah.
And you get some estrogen on board, and that estrogen is the number one coping hormone for
Yeah.
women. It's
Yeah.
the mood stabilizer. It is the light in a woman. And yeah, as you
Yes.
know, that you just don't crave those things any longer. And when you have that boost, that extra thing that women think it's about their willpower is estrogen. If you want
Yeah.
willpower, it's estrogen power
Yeah.
that you
Yeah.
need. And as you know, because
Absolutely.
you tried these things before,
Yeah.
but you bring estrogen on board and now your brain and body are resurrecting, and then there's a point where you feel alive and you're capable and you can and you do,
Yes, you feel
and your
like you
body,
can. Yeah, and then
yeah,
that just fuels itself, and the more exercise you do, the more the hormones are moving
they
around and
work
your
better.
body's using it and you're eliminating what you don't need. And that's really important, is that elimination process. And I learned all that. I learned so much through this program that there's no one else out there talking about and educating women on how these hormones are working in your body, what it gets affected, and doing it in a cyclical pattern. And then when it's time to add the testosterone, this is a very regulated program. You have someone walking you through all the phases at each time and incorporating what needs to be incorporated and encouraging. And it's been life changing. And I'm so thankful that I found this program because I would not be where I'm at today, where I feel more beautiful than I did when I was in my 20s or 30s. I never thought I was attractive or beautiful, and I literally feel more beautiful. And I think it's because, again, estrogen. I think I probably lacked it my whole life.
Yeah.
I finally feel like I have everything in place for me to just take it and go to the moon.
Well, you do, but also I want to emphasize, especially to the listeners, that it's not just about estrogen. That's one component. Hormones are just one component. You've done the hard work. I mean, you are doing the hard work. You know, you trusted me when I said, don't worry
Yeah.
about exercise now. That will come when you get some
Yeah.
estrogen on board. You will naturally want to do it.
Yeah.
And so that if you, when you take that, and I learned years ago, if you just kind of take that off the table in the beginning, because
Yes.
most women already feel defeated coming in because they've
Yes.
tried that already.
Yeah.
And I just said, no, just let's get the hormones going on here. Let's clean up your gut to prepare your body for the hormones.
Yes.
And then let's incorporate the hormones. So you were a couple months with gut preparation,
Yes. Absolutely. That
and
was
then
key.
bringing on the hormones. now that took you to another level. And
Yeah.
then now, and then at that point you were ready. And that's how this unfolds. This is part of the transformation process. It's not a quick fix. It
Yes.
is an
Yeah.
unfolding of what your body is able to do and how your brain is functioning and how you're responding. And you have
Yeah.
been such a good patient. But I want you to know too that because you've done this hard work, it's more than just slap some hormones in you and think it's all going to work for you. You have trusted, you've listened, you have been compliant with taking your hormones, with incorporating an exercise program and going to that next level. And
In
so,
the supplements and doing the things that you recommended. And I was doing the lessons, reading the
yes,
lessons
and
and
learning what you're doing.
educating. Yes, learning what was happening and what's supposed to be happening at this stage and what how it all pulls it all together. And I think that's been huge and realizing that estrogen is my friend as I am into this next season. It's not a cancer, it's not my enemy. It's finding the right people who know how to prescribe it, who know what they're doing and
Yeah,
working with thousands of women for, decades. And through that, being able to advise and work with my body. Every woman's body is different, right? I mean, not everyone's going to respond exactly the same way, but it's incorporating your knowledge with what I want to do, with what my goals are, what my body's responding to, and then working through that and just staying, having the tenacity and the determination to see it through. I just never thought I could change quite like this. And I'm so happy how much I've accomplished in 1 year that I'm like just to the moon with
well,
excitement.
I know I certainly know what you're talking about. And I got to tell you, as a hormone coach for over a couple of decades and working with thousands of women, it is such a privilege for me and an honor to work with women like you who will do the work, who will take the hormones and be compliant. And I get to watch these transformations that women go through. And I make some great friendships and meet some incredible women, and they're very grateful because you take them from one place to a place of living and life and
Yes.
creativity and future and hope,
Yes.
and it's so rewarding. This is like nothing that you've ever done. This is not low dose hormones,
Uh,
and this is not overdosing. This is the
Right.
right dosing, and there is a technique and a
Yes.
process. It is a titration adaptation process over time, and the longer you're on good hormones, month after month, you feel better than the month before. Over and over, you feel better and better. And even if there are no dosing changes, that the longer women have plenty of estrogen, the better they feel, the better their brains work.
Right.
So
Yeah,
what?
the brain working is the key. Like I feel like I don't even know how to describe it. Smarter. Uh,
Yeah,
like my brain is on fire. It is like amazing. I
you
can't.
really said that. Estrogen makes women smarter.
Yeah,
In
it
fact, I'm going to use
does.
that. I'm going to use that on a social media
I'm
post
telling you,
because
it
it
does.
does. It makes
100%.
women smarter. And so,
Yeah.
so what would you want other women to know? I mean, what would you like to say to other women as we wrap this up?
Just that if they're in a place where I was, where they're struggling, with just all the symptoms, if you're not sure, go on to panaceasciences.com or menopausemoxie.com. Look at that list of symptoms. If you're suffering with any of those things, feeling hopeless, feeling like you can't change, you'll never change, you're stuck with the 20, 30, 40 pounds, you're not. Go read the correct information and see if that is something you're willing to invest in, and take a look at yourself and go, you know what, when was the last time you invested in you? You put the time and energy and gave yourself the self love and care that you deserve. I think as women, we tend to feel like, oh, we're women, we're mothers, we're wives. We have to give, 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 give to everyone else. And then we get depleted and we don't fill our own tanks. And the first thing is you got to fill your hormone tank. You got to get back. and get that estrogen up to where it needs to be. And then you can have more to give to your family and more to give to your marriage and your community and building your own business or doing whatever it is that you want to do in your last season of life. I want to travel. I want to build a business. I want to do all kinds of things. I want to help other women that can learn from my story or be inspired by my transformation to help them so that they can make positive changes, like a rock hitting the water and it's rippling across the circles that ripple through the lake. They reach far and wide. And
Mhm.
that is how much influence a woman has over her community and people in her life. And let's not grow old and grumpy and gray and wrinkly and bent over. Let's
Yeah.
go older and go out with a bang, looking fantastic, having amazing lives, helping each other, having the best sex of our life. That's what I'm
Yeah.
hoping for. I'm like, hey, I am ready to meet a high valued men, and men for you too. You can get on your own hormone program and get your libido back up. Because if there's more women like us around, hey, you gotta get on board, bud, because we're not settling.
Yeah, that's what our men's program is for. But
Yeah.
Angela, your story is really proof that menopause is not permanent and that sustainable weight loss is real and that women really
Yes.
do have more control over how their brains and bodies function than we were led to believe. For those of you listening, if it feels like that your hormones are out of balance, if you're taking hormone therapy or not, or you need to lose weight and sculpt your body, go to advancedhormonebalancing.com and book a discovery session. And we'll see if one of our hormone optimization programs are a good fit for you. Thanks for joining us today. And remember, everybody benefits when your hormones are balanced. I'm Marie Hoig, and this is the Menopause Moxie podcast.